Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Creative Chat, where it's just a couple of my friends and I hanging out, just talking about all the positive things that we do inside of our communities to in turn make the world a better place. So let's get started. Today, small chats, big impact. We have a very beautiful and talented, highly successful musician, songwriter, artist, and actress, an overall quadruple threat entertainer, okay? And she's a friend of mine. I'm so grateful to have met her, and she's shining this bright light on me, and I hope that it's reciprocated. Emma G, please come out and share your story with everyone and tell us a little bit more about yourself. Thank you so much for being here.
It's wonderful to be here. Thank you so much for having me. I know that things are a little bit crazy at the moment in DC in particular with the whammies coming up, but no, things are good. I have to, you made me chuckle because nobody's ever introduced me as an actress before, but I guess you're kind of right.
Well, that's how we met. You and I met on a set doing acting.
I know, and that was I think that was my third or fourth acting gig ever. So I've never really thought of myself as somebody who's an actress. But we're here. Let's
That's
go.
a real project that we did. It's real. It's televised.
I know. It's
you are an actress, Sister Girl.
Listen, adding it to my business card right now.
Yes. Put that notch on your belt and wear it well.
Yes. Awesome.
So your passion is music, right?
Yeah.
With that, how did you get started? I would love to know your story. I haven't heard it yet.
That is a complex question, Janae.
Love it.
How did I get started in music? Well, if you ask my mother, she will tell you that I was born to drum because I kicked her so hard.
Wow.
But when I was born, I was drawn to music videos on MTV and RTR Countdown, where I would try to emulate the dance moves and all that sort of stuff. Right? I see you. But I literally was born singing. I feel like I'm constantly repeating this story, but the truth of the matter is I was born with a relatively rare neurological condition called hydrocephalus. So I was 4 months old when I had my first brain surgery.
Wow.
By the time I was 12, I'd had 10 brain surgeries and 23 surgeries in total.
You're a miracle.
Listen, I'm blessed. And the fact that, I was, going through these things meant that I was often ostracized from my friends, misunderstood, spent hours and days and weeks and months alone for rehabilitation purposes or for hospitalization purposes. And it got to the point where I didn't, how do I put this? I didn't know how to reach out and connect with people. And I didn't know how to even verbalize some of the things that I was feeling. So I learned that music, what became my tool for communication, for connection, for community building, for expression, for healing on a neurological and emotional and spiritual level. It all sort of came together, and literally I was, this happened from day one. So I by the time I was 12, I'd written over 500 songs.
Wow.
Yeah. I had things to say.
Yeah.
By the time and then teenagehood hit, and goodness knows teenagers have a lot to say. So, but now present day, I've got a collection of, over 1,000 original pieces under my belt. Not all of them I remember the melodies to, but I've definitely still got the lyric sheets. And I'm actually every month this year, I'm releasing a new single that is that I wrote as a teenager or young person, that funnily enough aligns with the themes that that we celebrate every month of the year as well. So this month being I know, happenstance completely. I don't know. I'm in alignment, but it's so this month is International Women's History Month, and Next month is Sexual Assault Awareness Month. The month after that is Depression Awareness Month. So it's just about, aligning my story and my music and my truth with the things that we need to honor and respect as a
Amen.
community. You know what I mean?
I know exactly what you mean, which is why we've created this platform to
I love it.
give a megaphone to the already speaking voices that are impactful with stories, that messages that inspire, encourage, and just maybe show a reflection of someone watching. They can see themselves in some way to overcome or some way to be inspired and reach back and continue that cycle. Because, like you said, depression awareness that exists as a month of awareness because it's a huge issue, especially since COVID and most people battle it daily. I know I personally have had up and downs with it, just on a genetic level, like a chemical imbalance from parents, just that
Yeah.
being passed down. Thanks so much. Yay, my favorite thing that got passed
Well,
down.
I mean,
Thanks for the
the
looks
thing,
and the depression.
the thing about that though, like I mean, we laugh and joke about it, which obviously is a coping mechanism in so many ways.
Yes,
But
it is. I'm doing that thing we do. But if you know, you
listen,
know.
but it's one of the things that I heard a few years ago, I think it was that we can't help what happened to us or what we are born into, but it is our responsibility to fix it, to deal with it, and to heal and grow from it. So, yes, we have inherited all this trauma, all this depression, genealogically or historically, that we sort of get born into. But we're here now. I often tell people that we are the warriors that have come as a result of what we've been through on a familial level. So, okay, yes, shit's happened, but we're here to fix it. We're here to be at least a part of the healing process.
Yeah, it's very important to address that responsibility to self, right? Because, we could sit here and find ways to lack accountability. But in turn, it's our life, our goals, our visions, our feelings, our traumas, our challenges. They all belong to us, no matter where they came from. So I admire
Amen.
you finding your therapeutic outlet in music. I've found mine in outreach and like helping others and being vulnerable about this being a part of my story. I use like natural products and routines that I created. Like, people with OCD would call like rituals. So I have like certain things that I do that consistently get me back into my alignment or my God-given vibration and energetic level, opposed to like the secular physical experience that
Mhm.
has given us these inherited like traumas or experiences. And so with that, it's an adaptogen product. Don't know if you heard about it, but how plants cope with stress, they use adaptogens. Scientists found that, extracted that, put it in a nice little fizzy drink for people who wanted a natural solution to the chemical imbalance. Depression is normal when
Interesting.
certain things happen, like they happen, that happened, and you feel a certain way and you got to go through a healing process. But for those of us who like nothing had to actually happen, it's just a chemical imbalance on a genetic level, that is something that I find helpful. The adaptogen drinks, adaptogen products, I'm obsessed with it. It's a part of my day. I start my day with it. Not every single day, because you can get like, I can store up enough of it and then just like, just be good, wake up, normal, the way that God intended for us to feel when we start our day, excited about life and all of that.
Right.
But if it's a day where it might be a little harder to get up or something like that, definitely gonna start to restock that in the body again.
Adaptogens. I've never heard of them.
Yeah, I'll send you
That's
some information about
fascinating.
it. Very affordable, but nonetheless, it's effective is why I'm loving
Yeah.
it. The taste is good. The taste is great. I actually might be a little obsessed with the taste, but it's what it's doing. Yeah, it's cool to enjoy it along the way. But what it's doing for me though is just undeniable what it's done since it came
Yeah.
to my life about 3 years ago. So
That's cool. That's cool. The more you know. Science, man, I tell you.
yeah, and nature, it was already here. You know what I
Right.
mean? It was
Listen.
like a man-made thing. It's just like, oh, this is what plants are doing when they get stressed out. Because also plants will fruit. they will start to like flower. They're like, oh man, I'm stressed, I'm about to die, let me procreate, you know what I mean?
Right.
And
Right.
so that's a couple of ways that they'll do it, and the scientists just took that and gave it to us from the plants, and it's another nature's gift that I'm really grateful for.
I
And
love
so is
that.
music. Look at that. Like,
Yes.
just using that is a tool to express, and in
Yeah.
turn being able to connect with other people who might see themselves, because sometimes you need that extra person or push or example to get up out of that
Mm,
state of low vibration or trauma or pain. And so music does a lot in that way, when you can like hear like brokenheartedness, right? So you can
mhm.
experience and not hear somebody's strength in the song, like Beyonce song Best Thing You'll Never Have.
Right, right,
You can
yeah.
be who was me, you can be like, you did not deserve me, best thing you will never ever ever have.
It took me the longest time to like recognize that she was like, best thing you've never had. Oh, oh, snap, girl. I see. Yeah.
Yes, yes.
It's and it's funny that you say that because yes, we, I said the collective we, tribal we, indigenous we have known the power of music for centuries. And so now living in, America, because I'm originally from New Zealand, and recognizing or
Love your
seeing
accent, by the
rather,
way.
oh, thank you. I grew it myself. When it comes to now looking at how we are steadily removing that creativity from the classroom, for example, and really reducing the amount of music and musical expression from the lives of teenagers. It's incredible to me, and I need to preface: I'm not a scientist, and I am an educator, and have been in the education space for 17 years now.
Wow,
But I started very young.
that's good. It's important.
But I marvel at the fact that we are moving more and more away from the mental health, emotional health, spiritual health, and even physical health benefits of things that are natural, i.e., music and musical expression, and more replacing it with iPhones and computer technology and chemicals and drugs
Escapism.
and
Yeah.
escapism. And listen, I'm not here to dog on any of it. Absolutely, there is a time and a place when we need to chemically reprogram ourselves to homeostasis so that we can build on a solid foundation. But sometimes, oftentimes, especially when you've come out of 3 years of isolation as a teenager and young person, or even just as a human being, let's be real, it's just as simple as having a conversation face to face and seeing somebody look you in the eyes and smile. Sometimes it's just as simple as giving somebody a hug. Sometimes it's just as simple as letting yourself move and groove to the sound of a beat, letting yourself stand up, get some exercise, use your voice in a positive way, find the vocabulary to express yourself, you know, authentically and honestly, um, as opposed to here, have some Valium. You know what I mean? It's just there's so much to be said for the power of music, and
Yes.
that's again why I'm releasing a song a month this year to really emphasize how I personally have utilized music to help me navigate some really difficult spaces.
Yes. And again, I do relate to that and have done similar things with music. And
Of
it's
course you
so
have.
funny how you started. Yeah, you know. They don't know yet, but you know. But I started similarly with drums. You know,
Okay.
not in the womb. You were way before me. Okay, I'll just get that out the way. You started way before I did. Um, my story is like pretty traditional, in the sense of like church is where it started. So my mom was a minister of music, and I was always kind of like a child that was fully aware that I'm different.
Mm.
And yeah. And so I used to like shop for friends, right? So I don't know how other kids do that. Like if they just like make friends, but I would like watch and choose. You know what I mean? Like I didn't like just speak to everybody. I didn't want to just be everybody's friend. That wasn't my thing. And so
Ooh,
I
that's
would target.
powerful, Janae.
Thank you. Like since a child, like I'm trying to tell you. And every person that I targeted became my best friend. So it's like I was choosing best friends. And I would kind of court them a little bit or whatever, and I was isolated outside of those relationships because they all lived pretty far. We did private school, so my parents would like drive me really far to get to school. They kind of like lived near there. So like the play dates and all of that was our parents making a huge effort to keep us together. So outside of that, I was in my own world, own bubble. I'm not saying I can relate fully to you being isolated and how and why that happened, but I know what it's like to spend time
Mm,
with self and just be creating or in your imagination and be comfortable there, not
yeah.
like it's not a part of your depression or anything like that. That's just you're comfortable there. It's what is, right? So I was at church one day with my mom. She's doing her choir rehearsal thing, minister of music, and they were just taking a long time to get started. Aaliyah's song, This Is the Time, will give you a timeline, right? Aaliyah's song, One in a Million was like just starting to be hot on the radio and everything. And that drum beat, the kick, right? So I was like,
Mhm.
I've got to try this. So I got on the drums and I was just like hitting it. Apparently I was cranking it, right? And so they were like starting to come in for the rehearsal and they could hear me downstairs while they're entering and I didn't know that they were coming in. They're like, oh my God, who was that? Who was that on the drums? Like, da 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 da. And my mom was like, oh, it's my daughter. Like, and I was probably like 12. And they're like, oh, we have a drummer for the church now. I was like, no, you don't. No, you don't. Long story short, played the drums for the church all the way through college. And so
Yes, I
you were
love
my
that.
little drummer girls.
I love that so much. And for a couple of reasons, because as you're talking, it reminded me of a few things. First of all, I may have been kicking my mother in the womb. However, I was told when I was 12 years old that I was too passive aggressive to play the drums. I had a
Oh,
lot of pent up anger as a teenager and as a young person. For various reasons, trauma manifests in in multiple ways. Um, so I never like I tried drums. Gosh, I tried drums so much, but I just couldn't get over the aggression that I felt needed to be expressed. That wasn't me. For me, it was much more. I was much more in line with lyrics and lyric writing. So I'm kind of envious of you on that, on
oh yeah,
that
I would
front.
let it
That's
loose. They're like,
awesome.
wow, a girl that's hitting like all they were
Yes, I
surprised.
love
I
it.
was like, not, I had no fear. I was
I love
like,
it.
yeah, that was good for me
I
therapeutically
love
and
it.
like self-expression.
I love
Yeah,
it.
I understand what you mean.
I also, you mentioned, that you were very selective with the friends that you were picking as a young person.
Very, just like
I
me.
don't know. I don't know if you realize how rare that is. I was
I
actually
don't.
listening to a video the other day on YouTube from I think the School of Life. It's a British YouTube channel that very psychoanalytically leaning, and one of the things that they mentioned repeatedly in this video was that we are often, as human beings, conditioned so much to want to be liked by the other people in our
Mm,
presence that we forget to take time to think and ask ourselves, do I even like this person?
exactly. Exactly.
Right? And so giving yourself permission to be selective on who you're choosing to let into your space and emotional field, hats off to you. If I was wearing a hat right now, I would
Thank
take it
you.
off to you. That
Thank
that's
you.
that's beautiful.
I appreciate that. I didn't know.
Oh, well, there you go. We learned something new today.
Yeah, because my parents, my family tried to make me, there were times where, so, I did that whole like high school at 12 child prodigy thing. And so my parents always kind of worried about me socially. How you doing, Emma? This is my talk show. I think we're fine socially. So they were worried. They would do weird things. Like we'd be at the beach or like on vacation. They'd be like, hey, that kid looks your age. Like, why don't you go? It's like, excuse me, like, what do you think this is? Just because, like, no, like I was always very selective. And they took that as like, she's not social, which you and I, we've been around each other. Like that's not true. I'm
Yeah.
selective like that. Just very,
Yeah.
always been selective like
You
that.
have to be. My entire 2020, my theme for that year was if it's not a hell yes, it's a hell no. And sometimes you just meet people that are like, I'm a love you boo from over there.
Yeah.
Like,
Oh yeah.
right?
But you were a bright light right away. I knew. I was like, I need to get her in my life somehow. Oh, I did it to you. Okay, cool. Boom. So that's what happened.
Oh, I feel seen and
You
slightly
made
judged.
it easy though. You made it easy. You made it so easy. I feel like everybody that was there, felt your light if you didn't already know them, because
Oh,
you knew
thank
some
you.
people that were there already anyway.
Thank you. Yeah. No, it's funny. I released the single for March on International Women's Day at the
Wow.
Hard Rock Cafe. And so we had a big celebration there, and everybody, for some reason, they walked away from that going, "It's that energy." And I was like, you know
Yeah.
what? I'm here for it. As
I
long
love
as
it.
it's positive, uplifting, empowering, let's go.
And that's you. Like, a lot of times we don't know how others see us. And I really am grateful for every time somebody says something to me that is exactly true of my nature or what I'm intending to convey. So allow me to do that for you right now. Imagy energy is exactly what it sounds like: bubbly, fun, light, positive, beautiful, and contagious. So just know that that's what you're giving, that's what you're serving up. Every time I have a run-in with you, every time your name comes up in a conversation, this is what you're serving up. And I'm grateful that everybody around me right now, when others are talking of them when they're not present, it's always the most beautiful, uplifting thing, because usually
Yeah.
usually that's not how that goes, right? It's like, okay,
Yeah.
what's not around, let me tell you, boo boo boo. It's never like that. Like, everybody's always praising and celebrating the people that are in my
Mm.
network, that are also in their network, even when they're not around.
Yeah.
It's the most
Yeah.
beautiful thing ever. I'm like, can we get some more of that just going around?
I think that might be something that's very unique. And I know, listen, I've said this before and I have been laughed at multiple times, but I legitimately think that this is the magic of the DC metropolitan area. I have
Mm.
never been in a space where men and women alike speak well of each other. Like, not just well, but like so stupidly positively about
Yes.
each other behind each other's backs
Yes.
as in this area.
That
It's
gave me
mind
chills.
blowing.
Love
It's
it.
mind blowing. So when people ask me, 8 years ago, why I moved to Washington, D.C., of all places, I came here with a suitcase and a guitar. That was
Wow.
it.
Love
And a couple of dollars to my name.
it.
Um, when I moved here and people were like, why did you move to DC? You're a musician. You should be going to places like New York or Los Angeles or whatever. And I'm like, I don't think y'all realize how beautifully supportive and powerful and loving the DC community is.
And protective. Let's not forget
Oh,
that.
super
Because
protective.
when you belong to us, you belong to us. Like, there's
Hmm.
like, look, I love it. Love it.
It's
Feel safe
great.
here. Happy to wear both crowns, representing this amazing city. It's
Yes.
my chosen home also. And people try to tell me the same thing about modeling, same thing. Like, why don't you should go to, LA? You should be in New York. I'm like, or I should be right here where I feel fully embraced and
Hmm.
appreciated and supported.
And let's
You
be
know?
real, New York is only 6 hours away. Not even six
Yeah.
hours.
And then it's the hop, skip, and a jump. But it's like that thing that people can do, the grass is greener thing. So it's like you have a good thing going, right?
Mhm.
Even in relationships, well, that's prophetic. You could be like with someone and it's a good thing going. And then someone else says, well, hey, over there, they really embrace people like you and they like that and da da da. And you're already being embraced and supported, but you go ahead and see what's over there anyway and end up having a horrible experience. I've never seen a story that did not work out like
Mhm.
that. Usually it's
Mhm.
like they end up having to come back. That's why it's called a prodigal son. Like, it's never
Yeah.
greener on the other side. It never is. So I was like, you're not
It's
gonna fool me. I'm staying right here.
that I love that you brought that up because I think that whole grass is greener on the other side mentality feeds into such a sense of lacking for what we actually
Mm,
have. And more than that, when you have that sense of lacking, you also have this sense of it can't be fixed.
mm,
And so we've, dare I say it, sorry, not sorry, We're kind of like encouraging this mindset of, if it's not broken, but it's still not performing the things that the next model up can do. Like you've got the iPhone 8 and I want
I
the
know what you
iPhone
mean.
10. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
I'm going to replace it with the iPhone 10 because the iPhone 8 is perfectly fine, but I need more. I need more. I need more. And then, the iPhone 10 presents other issues. We need to say, strength of a human being, the strength of a human's character is developed and built in taking what you have and working on it here and now.
Wow.
And
Blowing
that
my
is,
mind.
you know what I mean? Like, you have your iPhone 8 and maybe do a software factory update. I'm just saying, like, do the work. Do the work on yourself, do the work on what you have, and recognize that everything you have is already here. You just need to be
Wow.
brave enough to look inside yourself and see it, face it, live it, fix it yourself. That way, when you're looking at the grass is green on the other side, sure, but we're now getting to the point where your relationship, your work, whatever the thing is that you're comparing, is now no longer just grass. You're planting a garden now. You're
Amen.
you're you're moving up to the next level of being able to manifest, create,
Woo, you're
and
making me so
dictate,
full. I'm gonna burst.
and
I'm gonna
dictate
burst.
dictate the trajectory of your life. And that's one of the things that one of the reasons I'm so passionate about writing music, is because we get so stuck in this idea of wanting to numb the pain, fix the current state of being, that we sometimes forget. Sometimes we just need to feel shit, and then let that feeling move into the next stage, which is, we take the shit, we use as fertilizer, we plant the garden.
Yes.
I'm not even sure if I'm allowed to say shit on your podcast. I'm sorry.
You can say whatever you want. Yes. You can say whatever you
But you know
want.
what I
You're
mean?
good.
So it's all about like taking what you have and recognizing that, you can play it however you want to play it, but don't comparison is the devil.
It is the killer of joy. And you
Hmm.
said so many nuggets, like transmutation. You were touching lightly on transmutation of energy. And that's a part of my therapeutic process. I don't go, oh, it's a crazy emotional chemical imbalance day. Let me run from that and take my adaptogen elixir. Yay, I'm happy. No, instead, I will sit on that, especially if there's an event that may have triggered this. I will like sit on that, let myself feel everything that I feel, acknowledge that it is okay to feel everything that I feel, and then what you're gonna do with it. And make a plan, take that energy, because it's just energy. Energy does not die. It's just transformed from one thing to another, transmuted or moved, right? So me, I
Hmm.
don't want to move that, bad energy to another person because I realize they transfers. So I transmuted into something beautiful or productive or inspiring, something helpful, something that is positive. And then
Yes.
I move forward. And I repeat that cycle because I'm a human being having this physical experience. I'm a spiritual being having this physical experience. So every time that happens, I would just do that. That's my ritual, I guess is what I'm saying. It's a part of my process going
Yeah.
through all those things. So it's amazing you said that. You're like, and take the shit, make it fertilizer, sow your seeds, water it, make sure you get some sun, watch it grow, repeat if you need to,
Sunshine is
harvest. Don't
important.
forget to harvest. Like,
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
beauty that comes from endurance and the strength of doing that internal work, especially out loud, because we're all here together. Whoever
Hmm.
is aware of that, likes it or not, we're all here together. And that's why your contribution to music and all the other musicians and artists and creatives that are able to use art as a way to bridge the gap and make this kind of therapeutic connection, or this sort of self-identity awareness connection, or mechanisms for moving forward in adverse situations, is so important to do this out loud. And it took
Hmm.
me personally a while to be comfortable with vulnerability in this way. because I can only imagine what these songs, I'm really excited to hear the songs over the next 9 months. But I can only imagine what you're sharing, what they're about, and the impact that they'll make because of how you've been writing and using this as a therapeutic way to turn shit to fertilizer, sow your seed, etc., and harvest from these
Yeah.
beautiful
Yeah.
records.
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, I you call it transmutation. I've always called it alchemy.
Same.
But I mean, it's the same thing. But it was the thing that kind of, I don't know if you knew this about me, but I started my career here in DC as a street performer.
Yes, you share that.
I did. Okay.
I always
So
admired you for it too, because that's a brave thing. My goodness, my anxiety, I
it's,
don't know.
and but that was my whole mission every morning because I knew that, I saw it every day, people going to work in their feelings, in their, oh gosh, here we go again, another day. And of course, we live in DC, and DC is such a political hub
Yeah.
of anger and
Yes,
feeling
aggression.
and and depression,
Mhm.
um, that I kind of like took it on myself. I'm like, you know what? I'm going to try and turn all those frowns upside down and see what we
Yeah,
can do.
I
And,
love it.
and so that was my mission for the longest time, was just to like sing love and light and happiness into people.
Wow, you're so beautiful, Emma.
Thanks. But I think like that's always been my mission. It's just it started selfishly with myself. Like, how can I turn my own crap into something positive, musical creation? And now it's kind of transformed into this whole thing of how can I take other people's hurt and pain and help them to recognize their power to fix the situation. And now, of course, I also help teenagers to channel their crap and emotional overwhelm and stress and anxiety and turn that into songs that they write so that they can start to create, anthems of self-discovery and positivity and light. It's this weird trajectory of events, but this is the power of music. This is why we
Amen.
can't let music die out of the school system.
Yeah, I know. That's so sad. I'm grateful that people like you are in education. I'm in the education space also, and my story has been different getting there. It's like from backgrounds of like volunteer work, mentorship,
Mm,
and but
mm,
recently my daughter and I started our own learning groups, so now we're being more hands-on with
that's
addressing
awesome.
these kind of things. Thank you. And I've always been an advocate of the arts as a form of expression and just a gateway to a child's imagination and
Mm,
making a tangible representation of what's inside. So with that, I was in high school. My brother's elementary school was right next door,
hmm.
and they were doing away. Well, I won't say his age because I don't know how he feels, but he's grown and he's my little brother, right? And
Right.
so, yeah, so he's like, they're doing away with the art program at our school. And I'm like, are you kidding me? I'm in AP art right now. I'm on the Art Honor Society. And I ran for office, but I didn't get selected. But this is how God works. I was the only one who had the calling or like anointing or like that voice conviction to do something with the elementary school right next door. So it's like, hey, you guys, like they're doing this at the elementary school next door. My brother goes there. It's really sad. He loves art. So do the other kids. Let's create an after school art program. That way the school's not responsible for it. I was like 13. I was like, the school's not responsible for it. We'll carry the equipment. We'll remove the equipment. We'll teach them, but we got to keep this going. They can't lose art. So my brother, he's like, mind you, he and I are business partners. This was like a seed planet. Who knew we'd be doing what we do together today?
I love
But
it.
he was like, I'm gonna go talk to my principal. Cool, sis. And he's like 9 or something like that. He goes, talks to his principal, gets me a meeting, right, with the principal. My 9 year
Right.
old brother gets the 13-year-old sister a meeting. We sit down, the principal loves the idea, and we start that program, made the newspaper for it and everything. So I've always been practicing what I'm preaching. I'm not just sitting here because, you're an artist or I'm doing that now. It's something that's always been a part of me for
Mm,
expression and inspiring and instilling that in the youth and passing it down because someone did that for me. That's how
Yeah.
I had these lessons and these opportunities and these examples. You and I looking at the videos and the models and the dancers being like, hey, I can see myself in that. They gave that to us by doing it. So, I'm very convicted in doing this out loud so that that vibe continues to get caught by the people it's for,
I
the
love
children
that.
it's for.
I
Yeah.
love
So
that.
thank you
And
for being in
that's,
education.
well, thank you. But I want to circle back and say thank you
Oh,
because, no, for real, we started this entire conversation talking about breaking generational trauma. And this is how we do it. This is the work of giving back to young people in particular, rather, and allowing them the tools, because every young person is going to use tools differently. Some people it's sports, some people it's music, some people it's art, some people it's gardening. My fiance runs a self defense school, and so he coaches teenagers to channel their emotions through discipline when it comes to fighting. You know what I mean? So like all of these different ways that we work with young people are all cogs in the wheel when it comes to helping us to recreate a happy, healthy next generation of
yes.
young people.
Yes. Yes, because that energy you had at the when you're doing the music out at the metros or wherever you were choosing to do it, but your intention to just elevate the vibration
Mm-hmm.
of the community, that is what we are all about on this platform. It's just having that intention and creating a domino effect, right? That you're so
Mm-hmm.
contagious, I'm so contagious. Somebody's going to catch something and then it's going to shift it and then they're going to pass that along and let it just keep breaking these cycles of let's call it like I don't know, let's call it like it's a certain kind of trauma where like the person might feel powerless, that they're not in control of the outcome, when
Mm,
that is the biggest trick of the enemy, right? It's like to think that the solution is outside of you, and
right.
it's very much like you said, inside. So
I
I
went
appreciate
to,
you.
of course, I went to, again, I keep talking about this, but a few years back, I went to a celebration in Barcelona, of all places. And at the Love Celebration, they had a yoga um, piece of the weekend. And the yoga instructor went through this beautiful practice. But at the end of the practice, they said this mantra, which stuck with me, obviously, through to present day. And that was, you are loved, you are love, and everything you could possibly need already lives within you. And
Powerful.
oh my gosh, I broke. um, because it's, we're so adamant on telling ourselves, telling our children, telling our students that we need to seek validation out there, that we need to seek answers out there, when, if you're a religious person, you know that we are all made in God's image and God is perfect, therefore you are perfect. So why are we looking externally for validation and for answers when everything's already in us?
That's right. That's right.
It doesn't make sense.
Comparison, it goes back to
Mm-hmm.
that
Green
battle of
grass.
spirit and flesh. So it's like we're spiritual beings, but we're inside of a physical vessel so that we can experience this life in this way, right?
Mm-hmm.
And with that, people forget that the experience itself is the spirit just using the vessel to have the manifestation of the experience. And so they're just comparing what the next vessel might have or be experiencing, not understanding the spirit that's with that person, in order to, like, you don't know what it takes. And so that's why there shouldn't be any comparison, but it's
Right.
always going back to
Mm-hmm.
comparison,
Yeah,
always going back to
absolutely.
comparison. I know the
It's not
Whammies
about
are
that.
coming up and I'm like super excited to attend. I've never been to one of them before. Have you?
Yeah, I I went to the Whammies for the first time last year. Um, this was my last year was my I want to say second or third time being nominated for a category, but obviously,
Congratulations.
thank you. But obviously, the first couple were, were virtual because of the pandemic. So this was the first time I was able to attend in person, and I'm not gonna lie, I was running late, um, super late, and it was a very cold night. Uh, but nonetheless, I got there and had just found a seat when my name was called. So I actually
Wow.
won Best Pop Artist of 2022 last year, which is
Congratulations.
fantastic. Thank you. This year, I am up for Best Pop Album for my album I Am, which came out last year, which I'm super excited about. My fiance and I will be attending, and
Oh,
I
can't
will
wait to
be
see you guys.
kicking him up the bum to be on time. But but yeah, I mean, who knows what I mean, for me, the Whammies, it's not about winning the trophies. I know that sounds kind of counterintuitive. For me, the Whammies is a beautiful experience and an opportunity to celebrate each other and
Yes.
celebrate the diversity of this city or area, rather, and just the accolades and the pure um, creativity and power that the artists in this area have. There's so much good that the artists in DC and Maryland and Virginia do for the community. And I'm super excited to see everybody. I didn't realize you were going. I'm excited to see you. It'll be fun.
Yes, I'm super excited because, like I said, this will be my first time, and I'm
Yes.
excited that there are a few of you in my network that I'm really proud of you guys that are living in that light and just shining it so brightly. So I'm cheering for each of you. Congratulations on your nomination and your win last year. Your
Thank
fiance
you.
sounds very supportive. I am in the process of attracting my husband, so I'm like super lovey and I've always been super feminine. So with that, tell me how you met.
Well, I've not always been super feminine, and I was raised in New Zealand with a solo mother. My father was in Fiji my entire life, and so I've always kind of had that like strong, independent woman vibe, do things by myself kind of thing. I've spent a lot of my time in my masculine energy. I even studied to be a mechanic, believe it or
I
not.
want to one day, but not because of masculine energy, just for empowerment.
Fair enough. I know I was very happy to be masculine in that role. But I actually, so I mean, we met because like I said, he runs a Krav Maga self-defense school in the DC area, well here in Chevy Chase, and he was my teacher when we first met.
Oh,
I know that's super
yes.
scandalous.
No,
But
it's good. It's
and then that turned into me working for
good.
him, as so I was helping out with some of his admin stuff.
Smart man. He let
Well,
you be a helper.
he paid me, let's be real,
Well,
but
they need to. They need
mhm.
to.
But then I got too busy, so I quit working for him, and he got another assistant who still works them to this day. She's awesome, and it makes his life a lot easier. Um, but so I focused all my energy on my music, and but we just kept in touch. And he was one of the first people that I really clicked with when I first moved to DC. So he was just like the person that I that I went to for advice or for support or for whatever, because he was born and raised here in the DC area. And, that sort of manifested into us becoming a lot closer. And over time, we just became a lot closer and started dating. But it was more on a social kind of platform for a long time. And then the pandemic hit, and I was like, wow, or this is like, what's it going to be? So we kind of, yeah, started really building together. And that was when I started to explore my feminine side a lot more, and let him do things like change the light bulbs. And
I know what you mean.
right. um because let's be real, these are things that I don't really want to do anyways. But
We don't want to do that. Is that
no, no, and he's tall and does all the things. So yeah, so we were we've just been sort of hanging out and building together, and I think it's been really beautiful because having that foundation of friendship and respect and communication has been pivotal to how we have evolved over the years. And so now we're here and we're looking at sometime next year, early next year.
wow, congratulations. How did
Thank
he
you.
propose?
He took me to my happy place, which is a
Oh,
wooded area by the water beside our house, and pretended we were filming a video for his Krav Maga
ooh,
YouTube
he's
channel.
creative.
I'm so angry. No, so he
Oh,
filmed the whole thing, bless him, and he pretended he was going to, choke me from behind as I was going for my morning run, and he didn't choke me. The choke never came. I turned around after a while, was like, "Are you going to attack me, sir?" No, he was on his knee and said that.
that is so sweet and thoughtful. Wow, I wonder if he was nervous. Did he seem nervous?
I think so. I think so. If you look
Oh,
at the
that's
video,
so sweet.
yeah.
Oh, did you share the video?
Oh,
Or like,
he filmed the whole thing. I'm not
send me a
kidding.
link. I want to check it out.
It's not public.
Oh, I mean, you sent a private link. That's fine. I'm all about the love, so I'm just really happy for you guys. And again, I'm just ping ponging off your contagious energy, and I'm like, yes, Father, send him, and I'm ready. Religious or
Yes.
not, spirituality, I'm heavy on. I really believe that there are so many um, avenues and gateways toward division and
Yeah.
separation. And that religion is actually one of them, because it is dividing. It's like, hey, are you this? Are you that? Da, da, da. No, I'm spirit, the thing we all have inside of us.
Yeah.
So I
Yeah.
really believe that it's relationship over religion. Then that relationship with yourself and the part of yourself that has divine divinity in it, and Holy Spirit, whatever that connectivity is for you language wise. And you were dropping so many nuggets, religion or not, that coincide with scriptures. So
Yeah.
for example, you're like, there's a time to just feel what you're feeling and go through that process. There's a scripture literally says like it's a time to dance, a time to cry, a time to hate. People will say, oh, don't hate. Da, da, da. The Bible says there's a time to hate and a time
Right.
to love. That's why I will allow myself to go through all the phases. You know what I mean? Because I know that it is normal, natural, and a part of the process. If you deny yourself any of those experiences, when something real comes in,
Yeah.
you're not ready to receive it. You're not ready. You're questioning it. You're doubting it. You're sabotaging it. You're running from it. You're not ready to receive it because you didn't do the work on yourself of going through all those processes. So I
Yeah.
commend you for
Thank
going
you.
through the processes, and both of you guys really, and doing what it takes to serve your communities and serve yourself and now each other. It's
Thank you.
beautiful.
Yeah. It's funny, I don't. I haven't read the Bible. I've read the Bible stories when I was a child because my family in Fiji are very religious. But I could not agree with you more that spirit is the root of everything. A relationship is the root of everything. And I spoke at a women's retreat a few months back in Maryland, um, where it was a lot on relationship with self, but also relationship with your loved one. And I recall vividly this gentleman getting up and with his wife and talking about how the act of prayer is the act of talking to God. The act of meditation is the act of listening to God and whatever those answers are. And then, of course, my addition to that saying is all okay, sure, we've talked to God, we've listened to God. Now let's turn that message, turn that advice, turn those words of wisdom into something that we can remember. And I choose to do that through the art of songwriting and music. So, we're talking about spirituality and spiritual practices. Music is my spiritual practice.
Music is spiritual. It is.
And you
There's
know
a
this
lot.
because you were in church band. Like,
Mhm.
how powerful and profound music can be when it comes to just your own relationship with self, but also your relationship with the universe, with source, with God. Yeah.
Exactly. Wow, you've given me chills so many times throughout this conversation.
That
It's such
emoji
a
energy,
blessing.
yo.
Yeah, I love it. You have to stamp that hashtag if you haven't already.
I haven't. Let's do it.
Yeah,
Starts
I'm gonna
here.
put it in your description for this. Yeah, and then we'll just keep it going and get you a t-shirt and all kind of things. But yeah, everybody needs a little bit of the emoji
Mhm.
energy if they're missing out. Otherwise, they're missing
Thank
out.
you.
Yeah,
Thank
you're
you.
such a bright light. I thank you so much for
Likewise.
coming and spending time with me today. I hope that you've enjoyed yourself just as much as I've enjoyed having you. And I know you're going to bless our viewers and listeners. Do you want to tell everybody where they can find you, how they can check out I Am and your most recent singles, and where to check
Yeah,
out for the next ones coming?
of course. So I'm still in battle at the moment with the Facebook people because my account got hacked a few months ago,
Oh,
back
no.
in December. So don't find me on Facebook.
Sorry to hear that. I've been
However,
through it too.
oh, it's been a rigmarole, but that's okay. We're getting it sorted. Eventually, it'll be fixed. However, the best way to find me is to look up Emma G Music on all social media platforms. On TikTok, I'm Emma G Speaks. My website, emmagmusic.com. Otherwise, if you go to just search Google Emma G Music on Spotify, Apple Music, and Deezer, etc. Title. There are two images. There's me and there's another girl who does R&B and hip hop music. She is not me. I unfortunately did not get the R&B and hip hop gene. Everything that I create is more Adele meets Alicia Keys meets Alanis
Yeah,
Morissette meets
love it.
Tracy Chapman. So that's about me, but that's where I am. Very
Yeah.
easy.
Thank you. I'll be sure to put it in the description as well, so it'll be even easier to get the right emoji. The
Thank you so
emoji
much.
energy. There's only one.
Listen, we're here to serve.
That's right. I thank you so, so much again for coming. Please tell me you'll come back. You
Of
can come
course.
back as often as you like. You've been
Absolutely.
nothing but a joy and a pleasure, and it'd be an honor to host you again,
I appreciate
sister.
you, Janae. Thank you so
Yeah.
much. I
Thank
like
you, everybody,
talking.
for tuning into another episode of Creative Chats. And I hope you caught the emoji energy. We'll see you soon.
Bye.